was more or less finished. He had already had his house built there. And he was out, and he walked, and he looked over this bank, and there's this pipe sticking out of the ground. It's out of the bank. The kids are laughing already. And this pipe is sitting there, and it looks bad. So Jack thought, I should just go get a saw and cut that thing off. So he went and got a saw, come back. Well, from the top of the bank to the bottom of the bank is about 20 feet. The pipe is down about 4 feet, and it's really steep to the pipe. So he nicely slid down on the pipe, and now he's straddling this 16-inch PVC plastic pipe. But he realizes if he starts sawing, he's probably going to fall off. This is not a good plan. This is a bad idea. So he sent, the kids were there with him, he sent the kids, go get a rope. Come back, and they're going to pull him off the bank. Jack told me this story the next Monday. And so the kids come back with a rope, and he says to me, the rope was barely enough to go around his waist. It wasn't going to do any good. So he realized it's time for plan B. Plan B. Go and tell your mother, call the fire department. Now, most of you have never heard this story. I noticed the people up front, they were laughing. The rest of you, they haven't had this story. That would be a great story for the paper or the radio. I mean, the mayor getting stuck on this pipe, this would be a great story. But the people in the city really, really respected Jack and liked working for him. And nobody wanted to tell this story that made him look bad, so they would not be telling this story. And the story was very, very seldom told around. Jack told it more than anybody else because it didn't bother him. One day when Jack and I were walking through Skeena Mall, this fellow walked up to Jack, said, "Hi, Jack, how are you today?" And Jack was engaging, and he's pleasant to the guy, talked away to him. He was typical Jack. That's just the way he was. And the guy left, and I looked Jack in the eye, and I says, "Jack, you don't have a clue who that was." And he says, "Did it look that bad?" I said, "No, I do the same thing." But people were important to Jack. That's really what was important to him. Not that they were voters, it was that they were people. And no matter where he was, whenever he was out, he wanted to meet with people. People were always important to him. Then came the 2008 election. And we'd spent a good part of the day phoning people, trying to get them to come out to vote. And we were in the office afterwards, and we were sitting around, and then the results started coming in. It didn't take long to realize that Jack's term as a mayor had run out. It's easy to look good when you're winning. But when you're losing, that's different. Jack was gracious. He was positive. And he says, "I've got to go and wish the best to the new mayor." And that's exactly what he did. That's the way he was. And that looked like that's the end of the political life of Jack Talstra. But wait, I want you to listen carefully, because this last chapter is very short, but hardly believable. 2 months ago, October the 10th, 2014, we had an election coming. People had to file their papers, and Jack still paid attention to what was going on politically in the town. And he had to look and see what was going on. So, people are running for mayor, that's good. People are running for council, that's good. Area C, nobody's running for Area C in the regional district. That's not fair. Those people deserve a voice. Those people should be represented. I got to do something. 2 months ago to the day. So he went and got papers. And he filled them out. And he came back to the regional district with his papers, all signed, everything in order, showed them to them. Yes, everything was order. All he had to do was submit them. And he says, this was about 3:30 in the afternoon. And he says, well, just wait. They still have until 4 o'clock to file. Maybe somebody will still come. And at 10 to 4, this young lady came in with all her papers in order, and Jack congratulated her, thanked her, and wished her all the best, put his papers under his arm, and walked out the regional district door with a big smile on his face. He knew he had to do his civic duty. And this brought to a close the political life of Jack Talstra. Thank you, Jack, for all of us.
Simgaget, Sigamhanach, honorable ladies and gentlemen, families of Jack Talstra, Hilda Talstra, Mr. Talstra's Christian family, the lawyers and the staff of the Talstra Law Corporation and the legal community and friends, thank you for coming to honor Jack's celebration of life today. I'm honored to speak on behalf of the staff and lawyers at the Talstra Law Corporation. My Gitxan name is Amlachain. I'm from the Wilpsgood Canucks Gisgas. Translated means that my name is the sound of the voice or a bear in the woods. My English name is Pamela McLeichuk, and I'm a lawyer with the Talstra Law Corporation. The staff at the Talstra Law Corporation have been honored to be part of Mr. Talstra's law firm. To be a barrister and solicitor is an achievement that many law students struggle to strive to gain. After successfully completing law school and articles with the late Cecil Pratt here in Terrace, Jack was called to the bar in Vancouver, British Columbia on September 16, 1974. Upon taking his oath, Jack was formally a barrister and solicitor in the province of British Columbia. In 1976, he established his own law firm, to which is now formally named the Talstra Law Corporation. Jack operated a successful law firm through good times and bad times for over 38 years here in Terrace. I've been told that many of the lawyers here in Terrace at one time practiced with Jack, and several lawyers continue now to work here in Terrace as sole practitioners. And there's some lawyers practicing in other areas, and some have now been called to the bench. Jack was also a principal to many young law students. He helped successfully and to train and mentor many law students that aspired to be called to the bar. Jack celebrated his 40th anniversary as a barrister and solicitor on September 16, 2014. Due to his health, he had a quiet but happy celebration with the family and the Talstra staff at the office. So in drafting this letter, I'd like to say that it was comprised of, I had some assistance with the lawyers and the staff at the office, and the Talstra Law Corporation staff and the lawyers would like to say that Jack upheld his barrister and solicitor's oath to the Law Society of British Columbia that he made on September 1976, which is briefly as follows: that he worked diligently, faithfully, and to the best of his ability did execute the offices of barrister and solicitor, that he did not promote suits upon frivolous pretenses. He did not pervert the law to favor or prejudice anyone. He did in all things conduct himself truly and with integrity, and he upheld the rule of law and the rights and freedoms of all persons according to the law of Canada and the province of British Columbia. Some of Jack's work included legal representation to various provincial government agencies, including the Ministry of Housing and Social Development, the Directors' Council for Child and Family Services, the Family Maintenance Program, the Family Maintenance Enforcement Program, and the Federal Prosecution Services of Canada. As well, he provided client representation in the areas of corporate law, criminal law, and family law. As mentioned, he was the principal to many articling students wishing to be called to the bar. He inspired his articling students, including junior lawyers, and had them believe that anything is possible. Over the years of working with Jack, he had other qualities. We've seen Jack strongly defend his clients with vigor and might in court, and yet act strong and fair as a lead prosecutor. He was the agent for the Federal Prosecution Services of Canada for this region for approximately 30 years. He worked long hours in the office, often working 6 days a week. He utilized his exceptional skills to rationalize and strategize to promote positive results for his clients. He worked 6 days a week prior to receiving his last chemotherapy treatment, although his workload had decreased and his hours had lessened. Mr. Talstra has been fearless. He represented clients with complex issues that were quite adversarial. He showed no fear when handling such cases. He rose to challenges that were put before him, and most of all, dealing with any of the federal prosecution issues. Dealing with the federal prosecution matters were very serious, but he rose to that challenge, whether it was going to court or managing the responsibilities, and even cases that could have put his own personal safety at risk. Jack has been blessed with having a law firm for over 38 years, among other achievements, as we've heard today. He's been blessed with continuous work, blessed with humor, modesty, and a gentle spirit, and blessed with a family that, as we can all see here. Jack had a gentle manner to liven up the office. His keen sense of humor always lifted our spirits. He will be remembered for acknowledging the lawyer and staff achievements, that he was kind to us all. Maybe he needed to be strong, fearless, and blessed to accept our little quirks at our office. As an employer and boss, Jack was kind, generous, always willing to offer advice, slow with reprimands, quick with encouragement and praise. He was slow to anger. He made the staff and the lawyers believe in themselves, and with proper teaching, anything can be achieved. So just in closing, I'd like to share this with you. I shared the story to Jack and the office on September 16th, 2014. Sometime in 2010, Jack stopped at my office door. He said a few words to me, and then he was out the door. And he left me to ponder what he had said. And it was the coolest thing, I thought, he'd ever said, but I couldn't quite remember exactly what the words were. I knew some of the words, and I thought it was a quote from a famous